All I remember is from Friday morning till Sunday night, the sun going up and coming down, going up and coming down, going up and coming down, and me being on my bed like bugs were eating my entire body.
From the drugs?
For 3 full days.
Oh my God.
3 full days.
And you didn't have this before you went in?
Never got out of bed. Fell out of bed twice. Yeah, I didn't have this before I came in.
This video includes Mark's description of severe psychiatric medication side effects, including a 3-day hallucinatory experience. If you're a trauma survivor, please assess your capacity before watching. Hi, this is the first in a series of 4 videos where I interviewed my friend Mark about some really harrowing experiences he had in the mental health and healthcare system as a result of trying to find a cure for his anxiety, which was completely debilitating to him by the time he was even 15. So this video talks about a really cold, unempathetic environment in a psychiatric center where he was actually made to hallucinate as part of an effort to correct the chemical imbalance in his brain by experimenting on him with different drugs. Here's Mark starting out with his experiences of his anxiety.
I started getting panic attacks when I was 15 years old, and the catalyst was I had smoked, as a joke, I tried to smoke what they call a nickel bag of what they called one-toke smoke. I had never smoked marijuana before, and ended up in the hospital.
Wow.
And really, I was fine after about a half a day. I was actually laughing about it. And it wasn't until 3 months later, reluctantly took three tokes off of a joint.
Oh, wow. Would you have like peer pressure from your...
No, actually, it was with my sister in my parents' house.
Oh, funny.
And she had convinced me that the marijuana wouldn't do that to me and that it was, no big deal. So I did. And as soon as I felt what you would call the high feeling,
yeah,
I had flashbacks of when I was 15, and I relived all that terror again, like I was stuck back in the one-toke smoke. And my sister kept saying to me, "It's okay, you're just high. This is what high feels like." But I couldn't accept it, because what I was feeling was my terror of being out of control, and it was creating panic. So for the next month, I had panic attacks every day.
What were they like?
It was literally like being in a car going 60 miles an hour and then all of a sudden hitting ice and being out of control, no control, and you're gonna smash into a tractor trailer or another car, or you're gonna be killed any second.
What did it feel like in your body? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was hot flashes, feeling of intense heat, of any second being killed.
Wow.
Or even worse, it got to where any second me going berserkly insane. Always on the edge, always on the edge, like for a whole month. And I tried talking to my mother about it, I tried talking to my friends about it, and there was just no one understood what I was trying to tell them or why this would be happening to me. So,
did you understand why it was happening to you?
No.
Okay.
At the time, it took about 3 years to work myself through that. I did not see a psychologist or get any kind of psychological help. I thought that was really taboo in our family and our culture. And by about 18, I had it pretty much under control. I was controlling it, doing breathing exercises and working out a lot, But they always came and went. And then when I was in my mid-20s, someone again, after me working for like 3 days straight with very little sleep, it told me that a couple hits of marijuana would be helpful. Well, to make a long story short, it took the fire department and the police department 3 hours to get control of me. I had totally left my body and went into a state of complete terror.
Wow.
I was hospitalized in a Samaritan Psych ward for 30 days, lost 40 pounds, would not submit to drug therapy because I was terrified of putting anything in my mouth, taking any substance inside myself, including alcohol. In a way, it made me not do any drugs forever.
Right.
But the panic was worse, and the attacks were worse than when I was 15.
Wow.
And anything seemed to trigger them. And
The entire time you were hospitalized?
yeah, it was absolutely horrible.
So what did they do for you?
They locked me in bed, shot me full of Thorazine and Haldol.
And that's nobody
That was their
talked to you
that
about?
was their answer. Well, they're psychologists that were psychologists. I don't know what they were. They had
Psychiatrists,
no
they-
empathy.
Really?
The doctor had no empathy. It was just really a strange situation. So I finally called my mom after about a month, and we talked on the phone. I told her I was terrified. I was too terrified to stay in the psych ward. I was too terrified to leave.
Wow.
So she said, please just meet me out front of the hospital. You weren't committed there. You signed yourself in, you consented, so you can sign yourself out.
Wow.
So it took me a couple hours, and I finally did. And she picked me up out front. And it was a long road back. And I readmitted myself after 6 months back into Samaritan and submitted to drug therapy.
Wow.
And that just about killed me. I'm surprised that I didn't die in there.
Really?
Yeah. I was
So they didn't
traumatized
try to-
constantly by the nurses. I was traumatized by the help. I was traumatized by my own doctor. They didn't know how to talk to me. They didn't understand what I was going through. They didn't understand why. They kept saying to me, there's a chemical imbalance in your brain, and we're trying all this different medication. Some of it actually, they would say to me, we'll give you panic attacks, and then we'll stop it. Yeah, no.
Seriously?
Yeah, no.
They're giving you panic attacks?
Yes, they said some will have the opposite effect. And we got to test them all to try to figure out what to, how to get your mind, your chemicals in your mind in control.
So you had gone into a psychiatric center, you had signed yourself in, no one properly evaluated
Never.
you, and all they did was medicate you until there was nothing else they could think of.
And if I asked for any help, or if they thought that I was going to get in any way, shape, or form violent, they would lock me in bed. Two big guys dressed in white would show up and lock me in a gurney.
So that must have been traumatizing.
Totally re-traumatizing. Totally. I'd have wicked panic attacks.
That makes no sense to me.
I would literally envision myself burning in fire in hell, just like we're sitting here.
Oh my God.
Just like we're sitting here. Not like it was even hallucination.
Wow.
Like it was this real. I could feel everything.
Wow.
It was horrible. For many years, I couldn't even take an aspirin without having a small panic attack.
Really?
I couldn't take anything orally.
You got
Nothing.
totally traumatized by the medical system.
100%. 100%.
You had trauma from the mental health system by signing yourself into an institution.
Yeah.
And then you went back, and the mental health system was pretty inadequate because
Very
people
inadequate,
in this area are not adequately trained for traumatic situations.
For someone that's on the border of terror all the time and doesn't trust anything, feels like they're going to lose their mind, is always having flashes of heat and electricity through their body, to have someone empathetic is really important.
Yeah, you didn't need the tough love approach.
Well, I don't even call it tough love. I think, no, I didn't, but it was more, Beth, it wouldn't have been even bad if it was tough love. I think what it was just arrogance and ignorance. I remember in the psych ward at Samaritan Hospital, there was two trainee guys that were, just being trained in psychology. They both came to me and tried to talk to me with empathy. I'll never forget to both of them. But the doctor had no empathy, was all hands off, very distant, and they worked underneath him. But I saw them later at my restaurant, and they told me years later that they knew I did not have a chemical imbalance in my brain.
Wow.
Yeah, and they knew the only thing I needed was someone to listen to me and help me get a handle on the way I was taught about religion. Wasn't the books my mother was giving me to read in the psych ward were very negative books about priests and about the church, and they weren't true, and that this was just confusing me more, and what I needed was someone to just be my friend and just be there for me. But there was no one there like that.
Wow.
There's no one in that ward like that, because they all had to follow rules and regulations and insurances, and You know, I could tell from the very first day I went in there that's how it was, but I didn't know where else to go.
Right. And they didn't treat you like you were a person.
They treated me like I was a number, like I was the meal ticket,
Wow.
like I was something to keep caged up, and they would get subsidies from the government.
Wow.
That's
You
all.
could even tell at that age.
I could tell at that age, yeah. Nobody cared there. They cared about their rules.
Wow.
They cared about staying within the insurance rules and with the hospital rules. That's all they cared about.
And so this is not a healthcare system.
It's not. But I do want to say that the one night they locked me in bed when I was having a panic attack, and they shot me full of Haldol and Thorazine, which had the opposite effect on me, by the way. It didn't calm me
Wow.
down. I said to a nurse before she left my room, I said, if you leave my room and you leave me locked in bed here, and you come back in the morning, I won't be here. The
Right.
person you're talking to right now will be gone.
Wow. How old were you?
That was in 81.
Wow.
It was in 81. That's the third time I smoked marijuana.
Wow.
15 and a half, and then never touched anything again until I was in my early mid-20s.
Wow.
It was after that third smoking, I totally lost it. I mean, it was the worst of the worst.
Wow. So what did
But
the
she-
nurse do?
She said to me, I'll leave the door opened to your room, and I'll come back and check on you in an hour. And she did.
Sounds like you were in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
I was. So there are, you know, I believe spirit plants people in your life when there's tough shit you got to go through. And there was people here and there.
Like a lifeline.
Yeah, and they're always the lowest people. You know, they're never the doctors and the higher ups. They're always the ones that see what are going on and don't know what to do. They have to keep their job, but they don't like it. But,
Right.
you know,
I wonder what it's like now, if it's different.
I don't know. It's just something I just want to be far away from as far as that type of commercialized, institutionalized
Yeah.
type stuff. You know, I'm sure it's not much better.
This is why there's movements to have community mental health and community members help each other and therapists who are willing to work more on the community level.
It's really important. I mean, it's really, really important. I'm fortunate to have the life I've had and been able to work through all this stuff.
You're functioning, you have a successful business.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate.
Did you feel like that you were broken and you couldn't be fixed at any time?
Oh, all the time felt like it was me. There was something wrong with me that they had to fix, but they didn't know how to fix it. They were guessing.
So it was hopeless.
Yeah, that even the doctor. I remember I said to him one day in exasperation when I admitted to drug therapy the second time in, I don't know what's going on. Why can't? And he kept saying it. You have a chemical imbalance in your brain. When I first admitted to drug therapy, when I went in there, it was probably the pinnacle, the worst time in my life. And they gave me some drugs. I felt like I literally, physically, felt like my body was splitting from my head to my toe completely in half, like I was going psychotic.
Wow.
Like I was becoming two separate people.
Wow.
It terrified me. They brought me back to my room and sat me on my bed, and I said to the aide, I said, I feel like I'm being torn in literally vertically right in half right now, physically and emotionally.
And no psychologist or psychiatrist came and had any empathy for this reaction.
Nothing.
Or talked to you about what to expect or anything.
Nothing.
They just drugged you, stuck you back in the room.
I remember being in a room, they didn't have me locked in bed, but being in a room, because I told the doctor I was getting very frustrated in the hallway that day. I never went out on a weekend, but they would give you a weekend pass. I was too scared of what was, I felt was inside me, that I needed to control it, and they couldn't control it. I couldn't control his terror. And he said, I want you to stay for the weekend, because you said you felt frustrated and you felt like punching the bulletin board. He goes, I want you to stay here. And I always did anyway. I want you to stay here all weekend. I mean, I didn't go out anyway, but my sister came to visit me. All I remember is from Friday morning till Sunday night, the sun going up and coming down, going up and coming down, going up and coming down, and me being on my bed like bugs were eating my entire body.
From the drugs?
For 3 full days.
Oh my God.
3 full days.
And you didn't have this before you went in?
Never got out of bed. Fell out of bed twice. Yeah, I didn't have this before I came in.
So they were drugging you without any reason. And someone like an aide or a priest could tell that that's not what you had.
Correct.
God,
Horrible. It was literally hell on earth in there. It was the worst place on earth. You know, the thing people say, and think, oh, you know, there's people starving here, there's this going on. Yeah, that's my whole point. If someone's trying to kill you and they're a dictator, you at least know it. If you're starving, you know it, right?
Yeah.
Here, they trick you. They give you a nice sheet on the bed. They give you food 3 times a day. And they just keep pumping you with different drugs, like they want to help you.
Even though that happened 45 years ago, I'm sure you're aware of other people who are still having bad experiences in the psychiatric centers, although there are other people who are really doing well because things have improved. The point is, this first video, which is one of 4, starts Mark's story of extremely harrowing experiences in a search for help for his anxiety and panic attacks. We hope you will realize that you can heal. If you've gone through some intense traumas, he had medical system trauma, he had healthcare system betrayal, and he also had trouble finding a psychologist. So I hope by the time you get to video 4, you'll be able to have hope for yourself that if Mark can do it, you can do it. And he came up with some ways to help himself regulate his nervous system and come to a peaceful place. So I hope you will find this series helpful. And if you go to the description section, you'll find a link to a guide that you can get that will give you instructions on how to find a trauma-trained therapist and trauma-trained help in general. This is really important. That's my point so far on this channel. Okay, thank you so much. And again, don't forget to subscribe to get notified when the next video is uploaded. I'm editing it right now and it should be out within a week after you see this video. The next video is on Mark's search for a therapist and how most of them failed him too.